Hi everyone, I'm Nancy Novak from StampandShout.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm here every Tuesday to share with you whatever I've been creating, and I'm really excited to show you what I've been working on tonight, or today. Excuse me. I'm actually going to do Christmas in July, so hopefully you're excited for that. And I'm going to show you the Give It a Whirl die set. I've been so anxious to use this die set, and I can see a lot of cards that I will be making with it. So I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm not going to talk a lot because this is a little bit involved, but you guys are going to be amazed at how easy it is. So you just got to pick it up and start working with it. But I'm going to give you a few hints along the way, so stay to the end. Let's turn the camera around. Okay, so this is the Give It a Whirl die set. So I kind of put them on this little piece of black paper so you could see all the pieces that are involved. Not all of these are involved with one card, so don't get worried about that. This is just a lot of what you can do with this die set. So here's the card that I made that we're going to be making tonight, and I used the Snowman Season stamps. So let's just talk a little bit about how you figure out what you're going to use and what you need to use and all that good stuff. But let me show you the card first. So you just kind of give it a twirl right there. And there's the snow. And then I stamped the sentiment, Let It Snow. And on the front I have Merry Christmas, and I also have it embossed with the Evergreen Trees embossing folder. And then inside I just typed or stamped, hoping this season builds heartwarming memories. And then I added some more snow. So I like the non-traditional colors. I love these two colors. It's Coastal Cabana and Highland Heather. Love these for Christmas. Also, I do like the Coastal Cabana with red, so that's another option you have. Of course, you can make it in traditional colors, or whatever colors you actually like. Now, the stamps or the dies. So this is the main piece, and as you can see, it goes, that's how I got that right there. And we're going to talk about the sizes and everything later. I just wanted to show you some of the components of the dies. You also have this little teeny tiny die that are arrows, so you could actually put them here and show the person who's receiving the card that you twirl it. But the way I made my card is I have this opening here, which I'm going to show you later. So I think it's pretty obvious that you give it a whirl. Then, as for the shapes, as to where you're going to stamp, you have 4 different options. You have the circle, the heart, a rectangle, and this little triangle type thing. So what you do is you pick out whatever shape you want, and then you kind of look at your stamp sets. Let me bring in my catalog. So here is the Snowman Season, which is in the annual catalog on page 93. And you can kind of, like, say I wanted the circle. You just want to kind of go and lay it down and see how the stamp sets fit inside there. And I just thought that this one gave me a little bit more room to place what I wanted to do. So you can also make a template, which I had a template, but I think I've used it so many times it got raggedy. But you just go through your stamp set, you pick your stamp set, and you kind of look and see which one of those is going to fit. This one's great for just sentiments. Really cool. And there's a few other stamp sets that it will work with. But that's the gist of the 4 components of what you're going to put in your wheel. Hang on here, I just want to change my view so I can see the comments. So if you're watching me live, go ahead and say hi. And if you're watching me on replay, go ahead and type in replay. And share my video with your crafty friends. I always appreciate shares. And let's continue on. So that is the die that you use. Looks like a peace sign, doesn't it? That's the die that you use to create the wheel. You cut out the wheel. And then these are just little accent pieces. You have a pretty little lacy type circle that goes around that circle. That's kind of fun. You have the hearts, you have the clouds, and you have stars. And there are a few more. There's a few more arrows. There's the little circles, and there's a little sentiment type tag. So a lot of fun things that you can do with this. And I just went through my stamp set and I thought, oh my gosh, I could make so many cards with this. I mean, kids cards, anniversary cards, Valentine's Day cards, birthday cards, and I started with Christmas in July. So let's get started. So let me just get this out of the way, and I'll bring in some of the pieces that we're going to be using tonight. So again, I have a Highland Heather base that is 8.5 by 5.5, and I scored it at 4 1/4. And then I went ahead and I cut this piece out, and let me just bring that die in again so you can see it. So this is Coastal Cabana, and I started off with 5 1/4 by 4, and then when you cut it down, it ends up being about 5 and 3 3/4. So I just laid that on my cardstock and went ahead and cut that out. So it gives you that little curve for the wheel, and it gives you this little circle, which we'll talk about more in a minute. Then I cut my circle out, and that also cuts out the little circle there. Then I have a piece for inside that's white. That is, I cut it to 5 by 3 3/4. And for my sentiment, I have a piece that's 3/8 inches, and I cut it longer than it needs to be. I think that's probably about 3 inches when you're done, but you just cut it longer, 3/8 inch, and I'll show you how we're going to stamp that when we get to that sentiment. So first thing is you cut out the rectangle. Second thing is you're going to cut out the shaped hole with the die. Now I'm going to take this, and this is purely optional. However you want to decorate the front of your card, you can do whatever you like to do. I chose to use the Evergreen Trees embossing folder, but you know, of course, you could put DSP on here, you can put ribbon on here, whatever you want to do. But actually, I have to do one thing before I do that. I don't have to, but I'm going to do one more thing. So I'm going to take the shaped die. Now this is the die that I said that you choose to, you're going to stamp your images on the wheel with. So what you do, and I have to go off camera for this, is you line up the holes. Some people do this differently. I like to do it this way. I like to cut this out ahead of time, and then I like to position whatever shape you're going to use, whether it be the circle, the rectangle, the heart, or the curved triangle. So I'm going to place this like this, and I'm going to line up the circles, and I'm going to run this through my cutting machine. So I will be right back. I'm still here. I'm just offside here. So you just make it straight, line up the holes, and then run it through your cutting machine. So, see how it cut it out like that. I saved these pieces, and I'm going to tell you why in my hints at the end of the video. But there you go. That is going to be where you're going to see all your stamped images through that window. Okay, so then what I did next, now I embossed it. So I have my embossing folder, and I have the Stamping Up image front, because that is the way that I want the embossed texture to show through. And you just kind of look at it. I don't know if you can see, you probably can't. And you just decide where you want the trees to, you know, how high up you want them to be. So I wanted this tree right here to be as high up as I could make it to fill in as much space as possible. So I just put it in my embossing folder, and I'm going to run this through. So when I run it through, I'm actually going to run this through this way, and I'm not going to run this, I don't want a little crease here, so I'm going to run it through and then run it back and take it out of my folder. So hopefully that makes sense to you. I'll be right back. There are a lot of die cutting machines out there, so everyone kind of has to layer them differently. And every time depending on the size of the folder that I'm using, I have to kind of change it up. And that's not good. So I want to tell you a little bit about why I'm late. I was late tonight. Usually I'm on here at 7 o'clock, so it's a little bit later. I got a call yesterday from a high school friend And we meet up every probably about 3 times a year, and we go out to eat. There's 3 of us. And so she called me yesterday and said, you want to meet up at 4:30? And I thought, okay, 7 o'clock, it's my video. Yeah, I can do that. And then, so that was my first plan. And then the second thing was, I'm just checking to make sure. Yep. So then the second thing was, hang on a sec. So there you go. I have that embossed with my little trees. So then the second thing was I called the guy I go to for my dog training, and my dog, I have a puppy, and I went to, he's already been trained. He went through a 6-week session, and then he said, okay, come back. There's another session. And I waited and I waited, and I said, uh-oh, I think it's time I get myself back in there with this puppy before he gets too old. So I called him today, and he goes, yeah, can you come in tonight at 5:45? And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, see, I have a video at 7, a dinner at 4:30. Yeah, I can do it. I'll fit it all in. So that's what I did. I got this all going on tonight. All right, so now, thanks for listening. You know what? I'm just looking at this. This gave me the texture. Did it give me the texture the way I want? Yep, it did. I wanted to make sure I put that through the right way. And I said, you want to have that Stampin' Up! Image facing up. That's the way you want to do it. So now this next step is purely optional. But what I did next was I took that little piece that I just embossed, and I brought in my little sponge dauber, and I brought in the Coastal Cabana, and I kind of gave a little bit of color to those trees to make them kind of pop. So I have a little scrap sheet of paper down here. And the way you want to do this is you want to start off, you don't want to just blob this down right here. Whether you're using the new Stampin' Blending sponges, or you're using a sponge dauber, or whatever you're using, you don't want to just start embossing, because see, look at that darkness. You want to be careful. You want to be able to control it a little bit more. So I'm daubing. I'm going to start off, and then I'm going to kind of work my way on. And oh, that's pretty. So yeah, you can always add more, but you don't want to have that big old blob right in the beginning. So I'm starting off the side of my card and coming onto it. So just turn your little piece of paper and get more ink. Start off. It's kind of like stamping off. Oh, this is turning out really pretty. So I'm just going over those textured tree branches. Oh, it's very, very pretty. Love it. Love it, love it. Oh, it looks like there's a little bit of snow in there. It's just really faint. Now I didn't do this on my first card, but I'm gonna do it on this one. I'm gonna really wipe this off and just add a little bit more color up here on the top, because I'm gonna have some snowflakes up here. So just adding just a very faint, oh yeah, that's better. I like that. Yep, just a little bit more color up there than this one. I didn't do the color up here. It's pretty, it's really pretty, but I like just a little bit of faint color up there. You really just have to be careful. You always start off the cardstock, get the dark color off, and then you can always add more. So that's my little tip for that. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in one of the stamps from the Snowman Season set, and I'm going to stamp a few snowflakes and snow dollops up here at the top. So I'm going to bring in the Coastal Cabana. I'm just going to stamp this color on color up here at the top. Just a little bit of snow up there. Oh, one more. And one right there, I think. So just move your stamp around to make it look so it's not so even. There you go. That's the front. I love it. That one turned out better than my first one, so I'm excited about that. And you know what? Practice makes perfect, and you kind of learn what you did the first time and what you want to do differently the next time, and that's how you create your cards. And you watch me. So thank you for that. Okay, so now I am going to, oh my gosh, this I would have to say, honestly, this is the most technical part of this card, is stamping on this wheel. Because you want to make sure that you have you want to have 3 stamped images. And if you're doing something that's in order, that you want to, that you just want to make sure that you're stamping the right way. You don't want to stamp your snowman upside down. You don't want to, that one's easy. You don't have to worry about that. But you don't want to stamp your sentiment upside down. So everything faces towards that little dot. So that's my next hint. Everything you're stamping, you want facing towards that little dot, okay? And then if you probably can't see, but there are little lines when I ran this through. Let me show you the die. When I ran it through, all these little images kind of left a very slight impression. And that's the key word. Whoops, that's the key word, is it's a very slight impression. And that's what makes this just a little bit more fussy. You got to just be a little bit more careful. And I've watched a few other videos, and everyone does it differently. And I'm never a big fan of drawing a pencil line on here and then erasing it after. I don't know, that just never, I just don't like to do that. So what I did, and I only did this because I know because I'm making this video for you guys, but because I'm going to be making several more cards with this. I'm going to, I want to make a baby card, I want to make a friend card. I can't even think, I can't think of the other ones. But anyways, there's a few more cards that I want to make. So I went ahead and did a template. So what I did was I cut out that wheel like this, and then I took the shape that I want to use, and I went ahead and I cut it 3 times. So I have this little kind of template. Then what I did, don't ignore this stamping. Then what I did was I also cut a wheel, and I cut out a wedge. So you kind of see I cut this wedge out, and you can see the lines when you're cutting it out. So I've kind of got my bases covered for templates. So let's see how we do. So I'm going to kind of lay this down like that. And this is, this paper is thin enough, and my stamp is going to fit in the middle, so the paper is not going to interfere. It's just kind of giving me a little guideline. So I'm kind of looking at the lines, because you could put it cockeyed, so I am looking at the lines that were there, and I'm laying that down. And I'm going to do the simple one first. I think I'm going to go ahead and stamp Let It Snow. No, I think I changed my mind. I'm going to do the snowflakes with the Coastal Cabana. So again, I'm going to lay this down, and I'm just going to lay my snowflakes, or stamp my snowflakes right there. And that's all I'm going to do. I don't want to do too much and make it look too crazy. But I might change my mind. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of turn this, and I'm going to bring in my Highland Heather, and I'm going to bring in the Let It Snow stamp, and I'm going to stamp that right in there. So I'm going to look at this again. I'm going to line up that hole, make sure my lines are kind of even with those indentations that you will see when you do this. And I'm going to ink this up in Highland Heather, and I'm going to stamp Let It Snow. Okay. So another tip I have is when you're using the polymer stamps and you place your stamp down, let it sit there for a second. This is my experience anyways. If you let it sit there for a second longer than you think you should, and then lift it, I think you get more saturation. If you just stamp it, like you would stamp a regular rubber stamp, you might miss a little bit of color here and there. So I like to let it sit. So now we're going to turn it again, and this one is the tricky one. so pay attention. Here we go. So again, I'm lining up my little template with the circles and with the lines that I can see, and you will see them too when you're making your card. And I'm going to stamp my snowman. Now, my snowman stamp, if I were to stamp this, would go all over this wheel. Way too much. So I'm going to bring in this little wedgie thing that I created, and I'm just going to line it up like that. And that's going to protect the rest of my wheel. And I'm going to ink this snowman up. And I did that in the Memento black ink. And I'm looking, ooh, he's kind of messy. I'm gonna clean this because wait, let me just check. Not too bad. That stamp pad looked a little inky. I thought maybe I was going to get too many smudgies on here, but I'm good. So I'm going to look at my little wheel here, my little template, and place my snowman in there. And I want to get his buttons. And he fits perfectly. Obviously I know that because I've done this once before. And I'm going to hold it there for a second. Oh, so cute, you guys. And there he is. So when we put him here, he's going to look gorgeous. Okay, so now I'm going to color him in, give him a little bit of color, a little bit of pizzazz. And so I'm going to do that with my Stampin' Blends. So let me see here. First things first, we'll color his nose with a little bit of pumpkin pie. And then I'm going to color the top of his hat in Highland Heather. And then I'm going to do some stripes. Let me see, how did I do the stripes? A lot of Highland Heather. So the big stripes I'm going to do in Highland Heather. The wider stripes, I should say. And then the little stripes I'm going to do in Coastal Cabana. I actually think I'm using Just Jade. For some reason my Coastal Cabana wasn't working, so the Just Jade's kind of going to work just fine. I have one little square there I got to put my Highland Heather on. And then I kind of added just a little bit of Highland Heather there. And I'm going to bring this Just Jade back in and kind of just put some little green here. Not green, Just Jade. Okay, so that's that. Let's get this out of the way. I think we're done. So again, tomorrow on my blog, www.stampandshout.com, I will have all the supplies that I used and the sizes in case I forgot to tell you something. I think before I put this together, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the sentiment that I want inside. And I think I'm going to change it up and use Highland Heather instead of the Memento. I'm excited. After this, I'm going to have 2 Christmas cards done. And I always think I'm going to start early. Well, this is early, but I always end up at the end having to make more, so I'm going to get going this year. Okay, so I'm going to bring in my Coastal Cabana and do a few snowflakes. I re-inked my stamp pad yesterday, and it's really inky. I have another. Where's my other little stamp? I was gonna do a few snowflakes, and I don't see it. So, oh nope. Oh, here it is. Haha, I found it. All right, so I got that little tiny snowflake stamp. And that's it. The inside's done. So let me show you how we're going to put this together. Easy peasy. Let this dry a little bit since those snowflakes are pretty inky. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in my little brads. And Stampin' Up! Has these new brads that are in the catalog. They are called round and square brads. They come in black and white. And I'm going to bring out this little square one here, white one. There's also these little teeny tiny ones. I was going to use that one, but I think I will try that little teeny tiny one and see if it makes a difference instead of the square one. And if it does, we can switch it up. Okay, so then all you do is you take your brad, you put it through the front of your card, and then you put it through your little wheel. And I'm just testing this little brad out to see how it's going to be. It's so cute. Oh, I like it. And then you're just going to open the brad on the back like that. And see how that's going to work perfectly. Okay, so then next I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. And we're going to flip this over, and we're going to put dimensionals all over that Coastal Cabana piece. Don't put anything on that wheel or it's not going to turn. And you want to be generous with these. Because it's such a cute card, you don't want to be chintzy with the dimensionals, okay? I'm going to put, let me see here. I'm going to put one of these little pieces right there at the top. Okay, lots of dimensionals. So now we just flip these off, flip that backing off. I've seen you can use the adhesive strips if you'd like, but I have lots of dimensionals, so I'm using my dimensionals. Now we're going to place this right on the middle. I'm going to slide this down a little bit so I can see it just a little bit better. Make sure I have it centered. Okay. So this is where I was at yesterday, and I showed it to my husband, and actually this works fine. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to do anything different with it, but he thought that this was a little bit hard to turn. Not hard to turn, but hard to get your finger. And you know what? Let me do what I did yesterday, because he's a guy and they have bigger hands, and if somebody else opens up this card, it might be a little bit more difficult. So I'm going to bring this piece in. Can you see that? That's one of the circles that's in this die set, and I'm just going to slide it in here and kind of match the circle, and I'm going to cut that out, and it's going to give me another little indentation there, so it's really easy to turn it. So that's purely optional, but that's just another tip. So let me go over to my cutting machine, and let me cut that out. So what you need to be careful about is you only want to cut through the front of the card. Don't cut through the front and the back, or you'll be sorry. You'll be making your card all over again. So there, it cut that little wheel out, that little half circle out. So now, there you go. Cute, 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 cute. Okay, let me put this away so I don't lose it. So for the inside, I still have to do my sentiment, I know that. And I just thought of another tip because I saw something. I'll tell you in a second. I think I have a little bit too much glue. I like to dab my excess glue off on my little silicone mat. Okay, so now we need to stamp the sentiment for the front. And I'm going to use Merry Christmas. And I still think I'm going to do that. I like the memento in that, the black. I think it looks good with the snowman when you see the snowman. So instead of using the Highland Heather like I did on the inside, I'm going to use the memento again. So again, this is about a 3/8 inch wide strip, which fits my Merry Christmas perfectly. Perfect. Okay. Then I bannered my edges like that. Okay. So the simple way to do it, two ways to do it. If you have the banner punch, which is now discontinued, you can use that. So let me show you that way. So banner punch. I see the M there. I see my printing, my stamping. So I'm just going to slide it down a little bit further. Or if you don't have that banner punch, kind of just do it like that. So that's pretty cool. All right, so now I'm going to bring back in my dimensionals and pop this sentiment up. Again, I don't want it sagging. It's kind of a long span across the front of my card, so I put 4 on. You don't have to use dimensionals. You could just glue it down if you'd like, or snail it down. Oh, that's pretty. Then just pop it down on the front of your card wherever you think it looks best. I'm going to put this one down here. Then I'm going to bring in some pretty rhinestones. Little diamond rhinestones. I love these. And add a few here and there. And even up here, just to add a little shimmer to our Christmas card. Got to have shimmer for Christmas. I don't like that one there. One more. 2 more. One here and one up here. Oh, that one flipped over on me. So there is our Christmas in July Give It a Whirl card with the Snowman Season stamp set. Let me show you how it looks. So hopefully you can see the little bit of shimmer. Maybe I'll add one more right there. And then you just give it a whirl. Let it snow. I love that snowman. He is so happy. And then hoping this season builds heartwarming memories. So there you go. I hope you liked tonight's card. I love it. I'm so excited about this Give It a Whirl die set. I mean, I like different things, and I like them when they're not too difficult to use, obviously, and this one's easy to use. So I'm going to make a few different cards with this, and I will definitely show them to you. So hopefully you'll tune back in. Hey, if you're not a subscriber, make sure you click the subscribe button. And also if you click that little bell, that's a notification bell. That lets you know whenever I'm doing another video. So that way you won't miss any. I do appreciate you guys being here. I will have all the supplies listed below in this video, and I'll also put them on my blog tomorrow, so www.stampandshout.com. And I told you to stay to the end because any purchases at my online store between now and Saturday, I'm going to give away a stamp set. This is my birthday month, and it's always nice to receive, but I like to give, so hopefully you'll enter that little, you'll order something to be entered in that little giveaway, and I will announce that on Sunday. I'll put it on my Facebook page, so make sure you're on my Facebook group page. And if you don't know any of these things, if you don't know where to find me, leave me a comment. I answer all your questions, whether it's about stamping, whether it's about where are you, where's your Facebook page, what's your email address, how did you make that card? I'll tell you all that kind of stuff. And maybe you just want to join my team, because we have a really fun team, and it's such a nice group of friends. So it's really a nice little way to, share your interest and craft with somebody. And anyway, thanks so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. I hope you liked tonight's card. Leave me a comment and let me know. Don't be shy.